Greetings to everyone, and welcome to this national webinar on how to publish research article, selection of journals and research metrics, organized by Government First Grade College, Chennai, Patna. I am Rupesh Kumar, Assistant Professor of Library and Information Science from Tumkur University, Karnataka. I am happy to be delivering a lecture on selection of journals for publishing articles and research metrics. Let's get started. Before I get into the details, let me give you an outline of what I will be covering in this lecture. I will be talking on two important aspects in research and scholarly writing: research productivity and impact, and scholarly writing and publishing strategies, sources for selection of journals, and lastly, research impact metrics. Research productivity and impact are two matters of concern for any author, any researcher who wants to publish the findings of research. In simple words, productivity in research and publishing is measured in terms of the number of publications made by an author. It is a quantitative expression. It simply means that an author who has higher number of publications is considered more productive than one with lesser number of publications. On the other hand, impact has a different connotation. Impact is measured in terms of the number of citations received by an author or a researcher for his or her publications. Even though it symbolizes quality or the utility or usefulness of the publications made by an author, it is a quantitative expression of a qualitative phenomenon. Both productivity and impact are considered important for an author's research profile. Let's understand this through an example. On your screen, you are seeing the Google Scholar profile of a researcher or an author. On the right-hand side, Google Scholar profile presents a summary of some of the metrics, including the number of citations received. So the number of citations received in all for all the publications by this author is 646. And since 2015, it is 416. And the other two metrics which are presented by Google Scholar are H-index and item index. Let's take one of the articles as an example in order to understand the concept of citation. Here is the article I have selected for illustration: Perception and Usage of E-Resources and the Internet by Indian Academics. This is published by two authors, B.T. Sampath Kumar and G.T. Kumar, in the journal The Electronic Library in the year 2010. Over a period of time, many other authors, many other researchers may use the contents in this article, and they may cite the authors of this article. So let's take one example. Here is another article published on more or less the similar subject, use of e-resources, in the year 2014 in a different journal. The authors are Iqbal Butt and Mahesh V. Mudhol. In this case, if you observe at the bottom, there is a citation found in the text. This is a citation to this article, Perception and Usage of E-Resources and the Internet by Indian Academics, published by B.T. Sampath Kumar and G.T. Kumar. This is called the cited article. And the article which mentions this article is called a citing article. By this illustration, you understand that BT Sampath Kumar and GT Kumar each have received one citation. You may call it receiving a citation or earning a citation. Receiving a citation or earning a citation adds to the credit of the authors. Whereas these two authors, Iqbal Butt and Mahesh V. Mudhol, in their article have given a citation or attributed a citation. Over a period of time, a particular article gathers a specified number of citations, and the number of citations is likely to get incremented as and when the article ages. Therefore, there will be a cumulative effect on the number of citations earned by an article or an author or a journal. Therefore, citation acts as an important measure of research impact. In the scholarly world, higher the number of citations received by an author, by an article, or by a journal, higher is the impact of research. This means that more number of researchers or authors have found a particular article useful, and therefore they have made use of the contents of the article in their writing and they have cited it. In this way, citation acts as an important tool to measure the impact of research at three levels. One, at the level of authors, two, at the level of articles, three, at the level of journals. For instance, if you want to compare the performance or the impact of two or more authors, two or more articles, two or more journals, the number of citations received can be used as the basis. Now we have understood the importance of earning citations for our articles. The message is that any author, any researcher who wants to publish articles in journals should not only aim at increasing the number of articles published, but also aim at getting higher number of citations for each of the articles published. In that way, such authors will be aiming at improving their productivity as well as impact. Let's talk about scholarly writing and publishing strategies, taking journals as an example. I will confine this discussion only to journals, even though there are other scholarly media. Two scenarios can be assumed. Number one, I am yet to prepare an article. Number two, I have already prepared the full article, or at least I am ready with the title or the abstract. Now comes the question, how do I go about in scenario one? In scenario one, you may apply strategy one, which I'm going to discuss with you now. First, if you are yet to start writing an article, you need to study the trends in your subject. One of the important considerations, one of the important factors which affects the impact of a published article is whether it is trendy or not. When I say trendy, I mean whether the subject matter, whether the contents of an article hold any relevance in the contemporary context in your subject area. If an author even today writes about those topics which were relevant about 5 decades ago and which no more are relevant today, then The journals may not consider such articles for publication. Therefore, it is important first to study the trends in your subject. After studying the trend, you will come up with certain ideas which are considered important in the contemporary situation. So once you come up with the idea, you formulate a tentative topic and find the best journals in your subject for submitting the article. Now, finding the best journal means best journal in terms of the subject scope, best journal in terms of its impact. Very expectedly, any author would like to publish their article in a high impact factor journal. In the later section of this session, I will be illustrating journal impact factor. Number one, the subject scope of the journal matters. Number two, the impact factor of the journal. In that way, find the best journals in your subject. Select one of them. Study the submission and formatting guidelines, scope of the journal. Submit the manuscript to the journal. This could be strategy 1. Strategy 2 holds good for scenario 2. Scenario 2 is when you are ready with the full article or at least a title and an abstract. You have already studied, I assume, you already studied the trends in your respective subject and you've chosen a topic and you have already prepared an article or the title and abstract at least. Now it's time to find journals best suited for the article prepared by you. This is a different strategy than the first one. In this case, you are already ready with the title and the abstract. In this case, you may use some journal finder services which help you find the best journal for the article already prepared by you. Select one of the journals, study the submission guidelines, scope, formatting guidelines. Format your manuscript or reformat your manuscript according to the submission guidelines of the journal. Submit the manuscript. So let's have a look at the sources for selection of journals. This is the most important task in front of every author, every researcher. Selecting journal best suited for your article, selecting journal best suited for your subject is the most challenging task. There are various sources which help authors, researchers in the selection of journals. I have listed a few. UGC Care Journal List, Web of Science or Clarivate Master Journal List, Scopus Sources List, Google Scholar, Microsoft Academic. These can be best suited for scenario 1 in which you are yet to prepare an article. In the second scenario, you may use journal finder or journal suggester services provided by reputed publishers or multi-publisher journal finder services. To name a few of them, Elsevier Journal Finder, Wiley Journal Finder, Springer Journal Suggester, Taylor and Francis Journal Suggester, Journal Guide, Inago Open Access Journal Finder. I have included the screenshot of each of these in my presentation. I'll run through the screenshots and then I can take you to the demonstration. Here is UGC CARE Journalist, UGC Consortium for Academic and Research Ethics. The URL of this service is ugccare.unipune.ac.in. In order to make use of this service, an author needs to register on UGC CARE by filling out a simple form, log in, and then you'll be able to find the journals listed in UGC CARE. There are two groups, UGC CARE List Group 1 and UGC CARE List Group 2. UGC CARE List Group 2 consists of journals which are already indexed in globally recognized databases such as Scopus, Web of Science, MLA Directory of Periodicals. UGC CARE List Group 1 contains those journals which are not listed in the earlier mentioned globally recognized databases, but have been found qualified by UGC CARE as per the Journal Analysis Protocol, which includes certain parameters for inclusion of journal in UGC CARE. So you may find a journal either in Group 1 or Group 2. The second source is Master Journal List provided by Clarivate Analytics, the company which provides Web of Science database service. Enter a journal title or the ISSN or any word, one or more words in the title of the journal. Click on Search Journals button. It'll find out the most matching journal by title. The third is the Scopus sources list. Scopus is yet another popular scholarly database, citation indexed database service provided by Elsevier. So go to scopus.com/sources. You can search whether a particular journal is indexed in Scopus or not, either by title or by subject area or by some other criteria. Google Scholar also provides a list of top 100 journals in all, including all the subjects, and top 20 journals in each category and subcategory. A counterpart for Google Scholar is Microsoft Academic. If you visit academic.microsoft.com/journals, you will see the top 100 journals listed by topic. Microsoft Academic uses the word topic to denote subject. Apart from the earlier mentioned sources, the publisher-specific journal finder service can also be used in case where you are ready with a title and an abstract. Journal finder service by Elsevier is a very useful service. Enter the title of your paper and the abstract and click on the button, submit button, to allow journal finder service to find this journals best suited based on the content of your title and abstract. Similar services are provided by many other reputed scholarly publishers such as Wiley Journal Finder Service, journalfinder.wiley.com, Journal Suggested Service of Springer Nature, Journal Suggested Service of Taylor and Francis, another very prestigious publisher of scholarly content. Then, the earlier mentioned services are specific to one particular publisher. If you want to find out the best suited journals, irrespective of the publisher or multi-publisher suitable journals, then you may use journalguide.com. Here also, enter the title and the abstract of your manuscript. Click on search button to allow journal guide to find out the best suited journal for your paper, for your article. Enago Open Access Journal Finder service is specifically for finding out open access journals best suited for the content of your paper. You don't need to even enter the title of your article. You just have to add manuscript, abstract, enter your email address and click on search journal button. Then Enago will try to find out the best suited open access journal for the content you have entered. So these are some of the sources for selection of journals in specifically two scenarios. Scenario one, when you are yet to prepare an article, you can start with selection of journal, study the scope of the journal, and choose a topic which holds relevance in the contemporary situation based on the subject scope of the selected journal. Format the article according to the submission guidelines given in the journal and submit the manuscript. This is scenario one. Scenario two, you're already ready with an article, or you may assume that you had submitted an article to a journal which has not accepted your article. You may try some other journal. So instead of going blind on the selection of journal, or instead of arbitrarily submitting an article to a journal without having any idea as to whether my article meets the subject scope of the journal or not, it's always better to use journal finder services to find the best suited journals for your article. Now, let me go ahead and demonstrate the use of journal finder, journal suggester services. Here you see I have opened all the sources that I discussed in my presentation in each tab. The first is UGC Care journalist, ugccare.unipune.ac.in, and I need to log in. Since I have already registered, I have an account on UGC Care. I'm going to use my account to log in. I may have to choose this I'm not a robot option of reCAPTCHA, login. Okay, after logging in, on the right hand side, you see under important notices, UGC Care List has only two groups. If you have a look at group 2, if I click on group 2, it opens in a new tab, and you notice that these journals are part of UGC Care List as group 2 and searchable through following links. The original links are given here. Web of Science of Clarivate Analytics has Arts and Humanities Citation Index, Science Citation Index expanded, and Social Sciences Citation Index. This can also be searched using Master Journal List of Clarivate Analytics, which I showed in my presentation. Scopus has Scopus Sources List, and MLA has Directory of Periodicals by MLA. If you want to search UGC Care List Group 1, you may click this search link and you will be taken to this screen. And this screen has UGC Care List Group 1 journals classified into sciences, social sciences, arts and humanities, and multidisciplinary. Based on language, you may search, or you may browse the journals alphabetically. It is also possible to search for a particular journal based on its title or ISSN or publisher or subject language of publication. For instance, if I want to know how many journals are listed under UGC CARE which publish content in Kannada language, then I will be using Kannada by choosing language of publication, and I will search and I'll find the results of those journals which are included in UGC CARE having Kannada as the language of publication. So there are 8 journals which are listed in UGC CARE which publish content in Kannada language. This is only an illustration. This can be searched for any other language. Let's move on. If you want to list the journals subject wise, then keep in mind that you cannot find journals in whatever subject terms you enter here. For instance, if I choose commerce as my keyword, considering commerce as a subject, if I click on search, I may not find any journal. That is simply because the names of the subjects are not included as commerce. For instance, if you observe here, all science journal classification code is the system that is used by UGC CARE to determine the subject of a particular journal. This all subject journal classification is maintained by Scopus, or I can say Elsevier. So you need to understand what is the name used by all science journal classification for the subject commerce. So you can visit all science journal classification page and find out the most suited subject. You can see here most suited subject and enter that particular subject name in order to find out. Yeah, let me go for business, general business, management, accounting, business and international management, business management and accounting, management information systems. These are the subjects which are related to commerce, business, accounting, etc. Therefore, I can use any of these words in UGC CARE list in order to find out subject-wise journals. So let me try with management information system. I find one journal, PIMT Journal of Research, which matches the subject management information systems. You may try with other terms in management and accounting. For instance, let me try with accounting. If you're looking for uh, accounting part in commerce, you may go for accounting instead of using the word commerce for subject search. So I find about 53 entries, uh, meaning 53 journals which publish on accounting and accounting practices. So you need to, while searching UGC CARE, you need to keep in mind the all science journal classification. For some of the subject names, if you enter arbitrarily, you may not find any journals. Therefore, please follow all journal subject classification while finding out the subject name for your relevant subject. Okay, that's about the UGC CARE journalist. Also, there is an alert. Please notice that there is an alert. There is a list of cloned journals. Journal cloning is a menace in scholarly publishing. Journal cloning means a journal which duplicates the name of another reputed journal for attracting authors. This is a fraudulent practice. This should be discouraged. To help authors identify cloned journals, UGC Care has prepared a list of cloned journals. I can show you an example. If I click on group 1, you will find that some cloned journals are included here. For instance, print journals. These are the print journals which are included in UGC Care list. These are genuine. For instance, Abru is a Punjabi language journal which is published in print only. Whereas you find a cloned journal, a duplicate journal with the name Abru Journal, which is having a website. So the fact that Abru does not have a web edition of the journal, it is not published online, it is published in print only. This is exploited by people with malified intention to set up a website uh, having the same journal name in order to attract authors. So authors should be aware of this and should not be misled. That's about UGC Care journal list. The second source is Clarivate Master Journalist. The URL is mjl.clarivate.com. So type the title of any journal and click on search journals to find out the exact journal matching the title or the closest matching journals. That's about mjl.clarivate.com, master journalist of Web of Science. Scopus sources list as of today contains 41,462 results, meaning those many journals. You may search a journal, search for a journal based on subject area, title, publisher, ISSN. Once again, because Scopus is a product of Elsevier, all science journal classification is followed by Scopus in order to classify journals based on subject. For instance, I may go for my subject, library and information science, by selecting subject area, library and information science. It comes under social sciences. So if I place a tick mark here and click on apply filter, I'm seeing 299 results, meaning there are 299 Scopus indexed journals in the field of library and information science. Similarly, you may try out with your respective subjects. So once you find out the list of journals in your respective subject, the next criterion to look for is which one to select among these is based on site score if you are using Scopus sources list. If you are using master journalist, you may have to find out journal impact factor. I will be discussing in the later part what is journal impact factor, what is H index, what is I10 index. This is about Scopus sources list, scopus.com/sources. Then Google Scholar, apart from allowing individual authors to create profile and add their publications, also provides a list of high impact journals. How to get the list? On Google Scholar homepage, click on these three horizontal lines found on the top left corner. You will find some options here. One of the options is metrics. Click on metrics. On clicking metrics, you will get the top 100 journals according to Google Scholar. This is indexed by Google Scholar. This is classified. This is ranked on the basis of H5 index, an exclusive metric used by Google Scholar for deciding the impact of journals. As you can notice here, Nature, the journal Nature stands first in the top 100 journals. The New England Journal of Medicine, having H5 index of 365, stands second, and Science stands third. If you want to get the most impactful journals in your respective subject, this is an all category, all inclusive list. But I want to get a list in my respective subject. In that case, I'll click on this arrow next to categories and I'll choose the broader subject, for instance, social sciences. And you will find top 20 journals in the whole of social sciences, in all branches of social sciences. But I still want to get specific to the level of my subject. So I click on subcategories and I find out my subject. And I click on my subject. For instance, library and information science is my subject. You can look for your subject. If I click on library and information science, I find top 20 journals in library and information science, uh, according to Google Scholar. So I may consider H5 index as a measure of impact of the journal. So Journal of the Association of Information Science and Technology stands first, Scientometrics stands second, almost they are equal. H5 median is greater in case of Journal of Association for Information Science and Technology. Therefore, it has been placed first. So Google Scholar can also be used to find the most impactful journals. A counterpart of Google Scholar is Microsoft Academic. Microsoft Academic allows authors to create profile, add their publication details, and start tracing their citations. It can also be used for selection of journals. For instance, I am on the journals analytics page of Microsoft Academic, having the URL academic.microsoft.com/journals. If I scroll down, there are certain topics which are already listed. If my subject is not found in any of these topics, I can always search for a topic and find out the top journals in my topic. In the interest of time, I will be clicking on, let's say, economics. So I find top journals in economics, top 100 journals in economics as indexed by Microsoft Academic. So this service can also be used by authors for selecting high impact journals for submission of their article. These are all journal sources which can help you find high impact journals. Now let's move on to some of the journal suggester, journal finder services if you are already ready with title and abstract of your article. Let me demonstrate this through an example. For this, I will take up an already published article. Let me find out. This is the title. I'm going to copy the title and I'm going to paste it here, and abstract. I'll paste in this box and let me click on, I can choose a few relevant keywords for my searching. So field of research can also be used if it is found. Anyway, let me ignore it and let me click on find journals. Let me see whether it can find some journals suitable for this title and abstract. So Elsevier Journal Finder service has about 49 journals matching the content of my title and abstract. The best part of these journal finder services is the insights which you get for each journal. For instance, you are getting the impact factor of this particular journal, Journal of Informatics, and acceptance rate is 18%. This means that out of 100 articles received by this journal, It generally finally accepts 18 articles. Therefore, the acceptance rate is 18%. Time to first decision is 4 weeks. This journal takes about 4 weeks, a month, to communicate to the author for the first time whether the article has been considered for further processing or not. And thereafter, time to publication is about 3 weeks for communicating about revision and accepting the revised manuscript and finally communicating the decision is about 3 weeks time. So in total, I can say this journal takes about 7 weeks to process the article submission request. So these are the insights offered by these journal finder services, which authors can effectively use to make a decision. Supposing I want my article to be published quickly, or the fate of the article to be decided quickly, so that I can consider my article to submit to another journal if this journal does not consider. In that case, I can go for a journal which can communicate quickly. So these insights help the author in taking decisions. This is about the journal finder service of Elsevier. I showed this as an illustration. Similar services are available with Wiley. You can enter the manuscript title, you can enter the manuscript abstract, click on find button to find the best suited journal for your article. Springer also has journal suggester service. Similar, paste the manuscript title, manuscript text, need not be abstract. You can go even further to the main text. Then choose the subject area, click on suggest journals for Springer to search and give you the most suitable journals. Taylor and Francis has a similar service. Paste the abstract and click on reveal suggested journals to get Taylor and Francis journals best suited for your article. And a multi-publisher journal finder service is Journal Guide, which is provided by American journal experts. This can also be used by authors to find the best suited journals for their requirement. And Inago open access journal finder service will find open access journals best suited for your article. You need not remember the URL of any of these journal finder or journal suggester services. Simply Googling by name will get you to this particular URL. That's about the sources for selection of journals. Let me move on to the next part, that's on impact metrics or research metrics. I have been talking about the site score, impact factor throughout the first part of my presentation. In this part, I will take into consideration only 3 metrics for measuring the impact of journals, authors, articles. Many metrics are used. Metrics are like scales for measuring the impact of either journal or author productivity, author impact, or article level impact. So only 3 metrics I will take up for illustration in this session. Journal impact factor is a metric which is published by Journal Citation reports every year by Web of Science, provided by Clarivate Analytics. Then there are other journal impact factor, journal level impact services, impact metrics, such as site score by Scopus. Then SciMago journal rank, published collaboratively by Scopus and SciMago, and source normalized impact per publication published by Scopus. then H5 index by Google Scholar, and Cabell's Scholarly Analytics, and Eigenfactor score. These are journal level impact uh, measurement available. Author level impact metrics are initially scholarly world started with measuring average citations earned, taking average citations earned as the criterion to measure the performance, the impact of a particular author, and compare the impact of an author with that of others. Then consistency became an important consideration later. Then H-index was devised in the year 2005 by George Hirsch. And then came G-index, and the Google Scholar has also developed another index called item index. So these are author level impact metrics. These are applicable to authors. Then article level impact can be measured by the number of citations received. For instance, article A and article B, which is more impactful. In order to measure that, number of citations received by these two articles can be used as a basis. Recently, an alternative metric score has emerged, which is called altmetric score, which not only considers citations in scholarly publications, but also alternate sources such as Facebook posts, blog posts, Twitter mentions, retweets, then news feeds, etc., as the basis to measure the impact of articles. So of these, I'll be taking up for illustration the journal impact factor, then H index, and item index. Here is a glimpse of the journal citation reports for the year 2017. You can observe that journal impact is highest for CA, a cancer journal for clinicians, having 244.585 citations, impact factor. So how is impact factor calculated? Impact factor is simply the total number of citations received by a journal for the articles published in previous 2 years divided by the number of articles published in previous 2 years. Let me show this through an example. Let's first have a look at this Excel sheet considering two journals, Journal X and Journal Y. I have also listed the total number of publications in the year 1 and year 2. Whatever the year 1 and year 2 can be replaced by any year. Total number of citations earned in year 3 for the articles published in year 1 and year 2. For instance, you may consider year 1 and year 2 as 2017 and 2018, year 3 as 2019. Journal X has published 120 articles in all its issues during 2017 and 2018. Whereas Journal Y has published 80 articles during the same period. In the year 2019, for the articles published in 2017 and 18, 100 citations have been earned. So the impact factor of Journal X for the year 2019 will be the total number of citations earned in year 3 divided by the total number of articles published in year 1 and year 2 put together. Therefore, in order to put it in Excel formula, total number of citations earned in year 3 divided by total number of articles published in year 1 and year 2 put together will give you the impact factor of this journal for the year 2019, that is year 3 in this illustration. So 0.83 is the impact factor. This simply means that each article published in journal X in the year 2017 and 2018 has earned 0.83 citations in the year 2019. Not even one citation per article published. If we calculate the same for journal Y, we find that impact factor of journal Y for the year 2019 is 1.5. That means each article published in journal Y during the previous 2 years, that is 2017 and 18, has been cited 1.5 times. Web of Science tracks the citations received by each journal year after year, and at the end of every year, the number of citations are also tracked. The number of articles will anyway be there, and it publishes a vast report called Journal Citations Report containing the journal impact factor for thousands of journals. So if you take this illustration into consideration, if journal X and journal Y belong to the same subject, and if an author is faced with a choice, then it's always better to go for journal Y for submitting the article because it has higher impact factor. That means if you submit your article to journal Y and get it published, there is chance of getting a higher number of citations. This is why journal impact factor is considered an important research metric. Now over to an example of H-index, which is an author level metric. H-index refers to a score where the number of articles and the number of citations coincide. When I say number of articles, it is the ranked number of articles. Let me illustrate this through an example. I'll take into consideration two authors, author A and author B, each of whom has published 7 articles. And the data given here is year of publication of the articles published by author A and that of author B, and the number of citations received for each article. This indicates the number of citations received by author A and author B for each article. So for calculating H-index, year of publication does not count. Therefore, I am going to delete the year of publication. That was only for your reference that I had included it. First, let us find out the other factors here. Total number of articles published by author A is 7, as you can see, and that of author B is also 7. Therefore, number of articles published cannot be used as the basis for comparing the productivity because number is one and the same. Even if the numbers are different, an author's performance should not be based on the number of articles published. Total number of citations earned by author A is the sum of the citations for all the articles published by author A, which is 58. For author B, it is 128. If we stop our comparison at this stage, we can easily conclude that author B is more impactful than author A because author B has higher number of citations than author A. For some years, scientists used to base their comparison on the number of citations received alone. But then came George Hersh's concept, consistency in receiving citations for each of the articles published by the author. So, even if we base the comparison on average citations per publication, that is dividing the total number of citations received by the number of articles published, I get 8 for author A and 18 for author B. Even then, author B seems to be more impactful. But let's have a look at H index, how to find out H index of the author. Let's do this. First, arrange the number of citations in the descending order, that is from the higher number to the lower number. Let me sort it in the descending order. I have sorted it in the descending order. I'll do the same for author B. Now I have the articles in the descending order of the number of citations received. Let us assign rank to each of these articles, starting with 1. This is rank 1. The article with highest number of citations will get rank 1. Similarly, up to rank 7. Now, in order to find out H index of author A, go on comparing the article rank to the number of citations. Let's compare. 20 is the number of citations. 1 is the article rank. As long as the number of citations is greater than the article rank, go down. Let's go down because 20 is greater than 1. Let me go down to the second row for comparing. 12 is greater than 2. I'll go to row 3. 8 is greater than 3. I'll go to row 4. 6 is greater than 4. I'll go to row 5. 5 is equal to 5. 5 is equal to 5. Therefore, I'll stop here and I'll consider 5 as the H index of this particular author. So 5 is the H index. This means that author A has 5 articles having 5 or more citations. So if you start going upwards from here, you notice that all these articles each have 5 citations at least. Whereas if you come down here, this has 4, this has 3, less than 5 citations. So H, in this case, H is 5, H index is 5. Let's do the same thing for author B. 100 is greater than 1, therefore I go down here. 10 is greater than 2, go down. 6 is greater than 3, let's go down. 4 is equal to 4, this is equal. Let's go down and see 3 is less than 5, therefore I should stop here. 4 is equal to 4, therefore the H index of author B is 4. That means author B has 4 articles having 4 or more citations. You can observe here 4, 6, 10, 100. So the consistency in receiving citations is higher in case of author A, even though the total number of citations is lesser than the author B. Author B has got higher number of citations only due to one article. So he is not as consistent in receiving citations as author A is. Therefore, if you consider H index as the basis of comparison, then author A turns out to be more consistent, therefore more impactful than author B. This is how H index can be found out for an author. I-10 index is used exclusively by Google Scholar only. It simply means the number of articles having 10 or more citations. The number of articles having 10 or more citations. For this also, arrange the articles in the descending order of the number of citations received, which I have already done in this illustration. I will scroll down to the point where the number of citations is 10, the last value 10. Here, here I find 53rd article having 10 citations. That means all the 53 articles prior to this have 10 or more citations. Therefore, I-10 index of this author is 53. That means 53 articles have 10 or more citations. If another article, for instance, 54th article gets one more citation, then I-10 index of this author becomes 54. So this is simply a metric developed by Google Scholar, used only by Google Scholar, and it is getting wider acceptance gradually. If you want me to calculate the find out the H index of this author, let's find out the H index of this author. You know how to do. It is already ranked. Citations is also available. 1171 is greater than 1. Therefore, I go down. 327 is greater than 2. Similarly, I go down up to this point. Let me start here. 28 is greater than 25. 27 is greater than 26. 25 is less than 27. Therefore, I stop at the previous row. 27 is greater than 26. So I take this article number as the H index. That means H index of this author is 26. That means this author has 26 articles having at least 26 citations or even more. That is the meaning of H index. So H index measures the consistency in receiving citations for articles. In order to increase the H index, an author has to increase both productivity and impact. That means an author has to publish more number of articles and receive more number of citations for each of the articles published. That's about H index and I-10 index, journal impact factor. So I think I have illustrated the research metrics to considerably sufficient extent. So it's time for me to conclude this presentation. Before I conclude this presentation, I must tell you that my presentation will be shared with the organizers, and it has screenshots of all the metrics that I have listed here. Please do feel free to email your questions, suggestions, comments to me on my email address. I thank Government First Grade College, Chandrayapatna, for giving me this opportunity, and to all of you for listening to me. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am very happy to have this opportunity to thank for all the delegates who have participated in the one-day national webinar. Especially, I thank our respected principal, Dr. M. N. Lokesh sir, for the risk that he has taken for the arrangement of this webinar. At the same time, I would like to thank Dr. Sushma R. for a wonderful keynote speech. And I also thank Dr. Sujata HR, the resource person. She has rendered a very good and useful talk on how to write a research article. I even thank Dr. Rupesh Kumar A, who has given an elaborate speech on the topic selection of research journal and resource metrics. Finally, I would like to thank for all the participants, the staff who have participated very actively in this webinar. Thank you, Vandana.